Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. We're joined now by Jide Odusolu, who is the Managing Director of Ogun Investment and Property Corporation, OPIC. Morning, and thank you for coming on today.
Thank you. Good morning.
OPIC, it's been a long time. I mean, people get to hear about OPIC and you see them on your way to Ogun, you see them in here, you wonder, where is OPIC? What is this OPIC? But nice finally to meet you. But tell us about this Ogun Property Investment Corporation.
Well,
what level is it now?
Ogun State Property Investment Corporation is a 30-year-old government-owned.
30?
Yep, it's 30 this year. It's a state-owned corporation, and it was started with the old mandate of opening up the frontiers of the state. You know, Ogun State occupies a very unique position. It's a border state. It cuts across, it creates like a gateway for most of the nation. So the Ministry of Administration then recognized that in order to develop the state, you needed to bring in the private sector. And in order to do that effectively, you needed to have tried out some of the ideas you want to express yourself before you dare ask people to come and invest in it. And that's what led to the creation of OPIC 30 years ago.
So now, are you planning on taking up more housing at this forum? What will be your focus?
Well, at this forum, what we're doing is we're creating a lot of new cities. We're doing two things, actually. In our oldest industrial estate, which is quite well known, Agbara Estate, we're doing a lot of overall of our infrastructure. We're opening up a lot of new roads and putting in new infrastructure because we have a lot of big businesses situating over there. And so we're looking to engage with investors and potential partners who can assist us to put those things in place. And that's as far as urban renewal is concerned. With new cities, we currently have a new project that we started in January. That's the Orange Valley Estate that you see opposite the governor's office. And it's a test case. We believe that Ogun State is now ripe for people to not just come in here and do business, but to come in here, stay and live. Now, if you're going to get people to live in Ogun State, you've got to provide them services that they're used to wherever they're coming from. People relocating to Nigeria, they want security. Ogun State is the most secure state in Nigeria today. I mean, but you want to again get services that you can enjoy. So what we're trying to do with estates like Orange Valley is to replicate what you would find in Lagos, what you'd find in Abuja, at a fraction of the price.
When you open up roads, I mean, the intention is that those roads stay in good condition for a long time to make it convenient for people. Is there anyone who's there, who goes around monitoring the quality of some of these roads and ensure that what you've done does not get spoiled in a short time?
Well, like I said, OPIC occupies a unique position. We're a government-owned business. So almost all our schemes tend to be run like every other private development scheme anywhere else in the world. So we have a facilities management team who are responsible for ensuring the continuing upgrade and upkeep of our communities, and that includes the road infrastructure. As for the state also, we also have a state-owned agency that does the same for state-owned roads.
You know, some of these government facilities or structures, they need to be powered.
Yes.
And what comes to mind, even your governor was there in the last Lagos Economic Summit, which focused on power, electricity, so to speak. And one wonders if your government is also thinking of electricity to help power some of these structures.
We are, and you know, let me give you an example. With Agbara, we have a very unique advantage, and that's good. We've got an existing gas pipeline that goes through there, and we're currently engaging with about 4 different companies who are looking to do IPP projects. Along the Lagos-Shagamu corridor, we're also doing the same thing. But the dynamics have changed a bit. With the privatization of the discos, of the entire private sector, power sector, it's no longer as simple as it used to be. You can just go and get a license. You've got to engage with the existing discos because government has given them all sorts of guarantees to say they would make money. So that's put a bit of a damper on some of the plans. But we are actively and aggressively looking to partner with power companies to put power infrastructure. Because you see, if you have all these big businesses setting up shop and you can't power them, and they have to depend on powering themselves, you lose a competitive edge.
You know, Chamberlain asked you if there's anything you're doing from your agency or to maintain some of the existing structures.
Yes.
Because sometimes when you go around, you get to see that some of them have actually, lost, beauty or touch that they need to be actually retouched. And one of such things you see, even electricity lighting system that you've seen before stand and lit up such places. What are you doing to bring them back?
Well, one of the key things we're doing right now internally, one of the things we've done is a total re-engineering of our processes to make it more business-like. I'll give you a classic example. Initially, we've got a large investment there, and the last time any government put serious resources in there was 10, 15 years ago, until this current administration. Now we're doing that, but we're not just looking at today. We're asking ourselves, what do we need to put in place to ensure that this infrastructure we're going to establish or that we're going to refurbish is sustainable? So when this government leaves office, whoever comes along can easily maintain them. But it takes a lot of hard work to re-engineer these things. So it's, for example, when you're talking about power, street lighting, you can usually do street lighting cheaper, but then you use cheaper materials. They last 1 year, 2 years in the breakdown. So we're trying to go the long haul, get better quality materials, which cost a whole lot more money. You want to do your roads, you want to do better quality roads, it costs a whole lot of money. And what you then have to do is you have to do a business model in such a way that you can fund it and you can get the money back. So for instance, initially, we've got a whole lot of people who have investments there that they've abandoned, literally abandoned. So what we're doing is we're engaging with them. We're giving them two options.
Did they give you the reason why they abandoned it?
They just, Nigeria, we all buy property and we keep it as a store of value. And in some cases, they die. In other cases, they go for other properties elsewhere. Nobody is putting them under pressure to develop this one.
So you now give them two options?
So we give them two options. I mean, one option is, you know what, come in and develop your property now. The other option is give it up. You've already given it up anyway. So if you don't want it, we'll take it back from you. We'll invest in it.
What if they don't have the funds to develop it now?
Well, for the key issue you've got to take note of is, for most of these purposes we're talking about, there are clear terms agreed. For example, we say if you don't develop your property after 2 years, it is automatically revoked. We've never done that. It's been in our deeds for over 30 years. For 30 years. They've never revoked it. But we started revoking it because we write them and say, okay, we're giving you 6 months. Come in and take possession. Come in and establish commitment. If you don't do it, we will revoke it. But because we're government-owned business, we don't just revoke and walk away. What we typically then do is we offer those people another option of a new location if the problem is that they can't afford to develop right now. But for most people, really, it's just the fact that nobody has put them under pressure to invest in those assets.
So what are you putting in place?
We're doing a whole lot of road networks. And all the schemes we're working on, the road networks are the first thing. So we're investing a lot of
I think the government is beginning to look, towards the right area, because one thing you also know is, yes, people buy a property as a store of value, but oftentimes they're also buying speculatively.
Okay.
And at some point, road development will get here, electricity will come here, and, maybe then I will be able to put up a property. The question will be, is the government looking towards that area? Are we always trying to catch up with development? Oftentimes people have already put their houses before the electricity.
In our case, that's not the case. That's not the issue, because with OPIC estates, we typically provide our infrastructure from the beginning. It might not be the best grade at the very beginning, but we start out, we open up all the road networks, we put in power in there. The real issue is that it's a cultural thing. We buy property as a store of value. That's just it. Now, we need to begin to get people to rethink that mindset. Buy it as a store of value, but invest in it. Because if you put all the road networks in place and people do not invest by building there, you've got your resources tied down that you can't deploy elsewhere, and you open up a place for miscreants.
One of the things I noticed, for instance, the OPIC in the Sherry, which you mentioned, I don't know whether it's the side of the Kara market area where you have this estate.
No, it's the side where we've got our big building.
Okay, now, but that side too was also being developed by the state government,
Yes.
some sort of housing estate. What we did notice later on was that it began to flood. And so people who had property there, could barely live there.
And that's why I'm sure when you spoke with the SA on housing, the Minister of Housing, she spoke to you about Metro City. That's why we come up with Metro City. Because the problem is what the previous administrations did was, while it was a good idea, it wasn't a well-executed idea. The whole of the Sherry is a floodplain. You do not develop a floodplain without doing a proper channelization. There is none.
At the moment?
What there is now, there was none.
Okay.
So what this government has had to do is come in, channelize, redesign, come up with a plan to then ensure that the place no longer floods. That's why we have to do a metro city.
Okay, I don't see that.
Well, you have a question, a quick one before we let you off. And this is from Akin Ogun, who says, Dear Jide Odusolu, kindly consider a link bridge from Itekun town to the upcoming Badagry Expressway. That it is very important. So when you're talking about your plan, have you thought about something like this?
Well, OPIC being a business, we've got defined land areas. So if it's not within our land area, the best I can do as a special advisor is go to the Ministry of Works and say, oh, look, we've done this here. We would like you to look at the possibility of investing in doing road access. That's the best we can do. But for all our own communities, especially in Agbara, we're doing a lot of investment in road networks now. And we intend to loop everything from Lagos right down to the end of Lusada Road.
Okay, because since you've talked about the road network, I was going to bring up the question that some of those who are developing property along that Isheri area complain about the road network as well.
Yes.
So they have to take that upon themselves too. But now you say the state is coming in.
The state is already in.
They're already in.
Yes, we're already in. And I mean, for instance, with Isheri, we're engaging with the CDAs there. We're engaging with the CDAs there because we've got, and then another thing is also value. These roads cost a whole lot of money. People, in the past, government land wasn't priced based on value. It was priced based on making the price look good, if you understand what I mean. Now we're trying to price based on value. We're going back to people and engaging with them. That's what we have to do in Agbara. We're spending about 2 billion naira doing road networks. OPIC doesn't have a bottomless pit of resources to use. So we're having to engage with people, get them to make a commitment to contribute to that cost so we can finance the work.
All right then, Mr. Jide Odusolu is the Managing Director of Ogun State Property Investment Company. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you very much.
We'll be back after this. Do join us again.